How's it going out there? It's September 15th. I'm friend Curzio, it's the Wall Street Unplugged podcast where I break down headlines and tell you what's really moving these markets. I'm going to go with some news stories with you. Recently, billionaires Peter Thiel and Mark Anderson are going to leave the board of Facebook and Instagram, which is the parent company of Meta. They're going to leave those boards. And they're leaving those boards because they both have tons of crypto investments and Web3 investments. So it's kind of a conflict of interest. And they announced that. And this is just recently. A couple months earlier, a venture firm called One Confirmation. This is backed by Peter Thiel, Mark Anderson. If you're not familiar with Mark Anderson, pretty much the greatest venture capitalist ever. And also Mark Cuban. Those three. So this One Confirmation, this fund is backed by them, launched a $100 million fund to invest in NFTs. In June, looking at Shopify, large e-commerce platforms, says it's going to launch a token-gated experiences. So businesses are going to be able to offer exclusive products and discounts to followers that hold tokens or NFTs for a specific collection. Nike, Lamborghini, Louis Vuitton, the UFC have also announced that they launch NFT projects. Recently, Doodles, an NFT collection spearheaded by Reddit co-founder, scored $54 million in funding. This is recently. This just happened. Took the valuation to $700 million. This is in this market. Think about what's going on in the market. Think about this. Who are some of those investors? FTX Ventures, who you should be familiar with. They're buying up crypto assets like crazy. Partnered with Scaramucci's fund. I think they invested in BlockFi, Crypto.com, tons of companies that were having trouble. Also, Accrue Capital and 10T Holdings took part in the funding round. Those are big names in the sector. You have A16Z. If you're not familiar, that's Anderson Horowitz's Web3 arm, basically, invested in crypto projects. They announced a free licensing system for NFTs just a couple days ago, not long ago. So it's going to help the NFT sector unleash what they call its economic potential. So it's basically helping NFT creators to protect and release their intellectual property, their rights, granting NFT holders the baseline of rights that are irrevocable, enforceable, easy to understand. Again, I'm quoting them, but basically it's helping creators provide the framework and give them that framework and platform to launch their collections. It's going to spur this creativity and saying, hey, we're going to help you guys. Let us see your projects. We'll invest in them. We're going to help you. Give you this free licensing system. Just the other day, Starbucks. I'm sure everybody knows Starbucks. Adding a non-fungible token to its loyalty program through the Starbucks Odyssey program. It's going to give members the opportunity to earn and purchase digital collectible assets that are going to unlock access to new benefits and immersive coffee experiences, they say. This is all news that's been announced in basically the past 3 months. Up to yesterday with Starbucks. All this money flowing into NFTs in a market where capital is flowing out like crazy. People are going to cash. The dollar's going higher. People are nervous. The Fed looks like they're going to go nuts and just continue to raise regardless, right? Based on, again, I covered this the other day. Based on a CPI that's tainted, that's going to show that inflation is pretty high because rentals and shelter accounts for 30% of it. So to be looking at that index, again, which the purpose is to mask inflation, and now it's working oppositely because you can't get inflation out of it. Even though you're seeing inflation indicators, you're seeing rents come down in real time. Rents are coming down as a laggy indicator. You're seeing prices come down in different areas. But they're going to go crazy and raise like crazy throughout the year, which is very, very dangerous at this stage, considering we're already in a recession, a global recession. Let's look around. But yet, all this money flowing into Web3 NFTs constantly, right? Constantly. So I have a great guest for you today. His name is Dr. Ravi Singh. Has a massive, massive following. One of the first individuals in the world holds a doctorate degree with a specialization in social media technology. He works with tons of celebrities to increase their brands in social media and digital. Has numerous degrees. He was the first, and I don't want to destroy the word, so I'm going to spell it. SIKH American to graduate from the U.S. military with a turban. So you get a chance to see him. He's very funny, hilarious. So make sure you're watching this on our YouTube page. You can see it. If not, you can listen to it through numerous outlets. This is a guy that has a huge political following, met several presidents, ran numerous campaigns, created a multi-million-dollar digital company, can teach at numerous colleges. I mean, go look at his resume. It's unbelievable. Larry can do almost anything he wants. And his focus, 100%, is on NFTs, where he believes his technology, and I'm quoting here, is going to change the world. This is a fantastic interview. I want you to please excuse the noise in the background because I literally booked this interview at 5:15 on Sunday at the Palm Beach Expo a couple weeks ago that we attended. I was interviewing tons of people. And the conference closed at 5. And I don't know if you've been to a conference or if you presented and we have this whole setup. But when they close, a lot of it's unionized, man, they kick you out. They start just taking everything down. We were the last people in there where they were like, you got to get that out of here. We're like, one more interview. We're working hard for you. On a Sunday when the whole place closed and everyone's going out for drinks and enjoying because we worked so hard at the conference, I wanted to get this last interview in for you. When he walked in earlier that day, massive crowd around him. I saw his speech on stage because I was on stage right after that hosting and moderating two segments, which were really cool with a bunch of people on it at the conference. So one of them was, Metaverse, and another one was just entrepreneurs and stuff like that. But right after him, I was on, so I didn't get a chance to speak with him. But then I spoke with him. He wanted to come over and say, hey, I heard about you. I'll definitely do an interview with you. And we did it late. So excuse the background because you're going to hear polls dropping and stuff like that. But you're going to be able to hear it perfectly. It's fine, but just excuse that. But it just goes to show you how hard I'm working for you. He's working for you. Again, Sunday, 5:15. This is one of my favorite interviews from, I think it was like the 20, 25 people I conducted at the conference. And you're going to see why in a minute. And here's that interview with Dr. Ravi Singh.
Dr. Ravi, I am so honored to have you on. And before you say a word, I usually like to introduce people and say, okay, here's percent. This is the introduction. I usually say, what do you do? I'm not going to do it because what I'm saying here is pretty amazing. Okay, so
you're very kind.
No, it's not kind because you deserve it because you earned it, right? MIT, right? Institute of Technology, Ashford University, Liberty University, Northwestern University, Duke University, Harvard University, all degrees across the board here.
Right.
Just the educational component, and one of the things I saw, which is much, much more important than all of that to me, NCAA Division I, captain of the golf team? Are you kidding me?
My father, I told my dad I wanted to be a professional golfer, and he looked at me and he says, you cannot be a golfer. No Indian has ever been a golfer. I said, but Vijay Singh. Vijay Singh's actually from the islands. He's not even Indian.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, that's funny.
Vijay.
I would have said that too.
Yeah, so I did play NCAA Division I golf, one of the happiest days of my life, but I didn't make it. But I did get to go all the way. So
that's awesome. So you know what? I feel like I'm a dinosaur in this industry being 50 years old, but I have a lot of Wall Street clients. I've been doing it for 30 years that know this is where the innovation's coming from.
Right.
And it's cool to see the respect you're getting where I've put a lot of money into this space from these young entrepreneurs.
Right.
Now I feel like, I don't have anything near as common, but the education part and where you're coming from to see you and what you're doing in NFTs, explain that because
sure.
This isn't like, hey, young kid doing this. This is like somebody else that is educated you are seeing the future. Explain that. What made you go? You can do pretty much anything you want, right? The golf team especially, but NFTs and Metaverse things.
No, it was a thought process, but every journey, all the trials and tribulations sort of lead you towards something, and once you start accepting them, it was one degree after another. I didn't anticipate my dissertation, happening so quickly. I didn't expect my research to come out positive and actually prove a new theory in social media. When I did all of these things, I realized, wow, is there an application that I can apply this knowledge to? And because I was an entrepreneur before I went to my PhD, I went back when I was in my 40s, so I'm dating myself a little bit, but I did it because my mother told me you can't be a guru and call yourself a guru if you don't have a PhD. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go get a PhD. So that was the logic. But there is a need in this space for academic research. And what is happening here is not only behavioral, right, changes that are taking place. There's real tech behind this. The blockchain has a component and a category for NFTs. Unfortunately, it goes beyond burning a JPEG or minting a picture or et cetera. But no one is teaching this from a practical standpoint, and I'm hoping to do both of them. I'm hoping to be a practitioner in the space as well as share my knowledge, because I see the potential changing the world. And when I say changing the world, I literally mean changing the world. This technology has the ability to go around, cross borders, no middleman, and most importantly, affect the way we do things in a very positive way, from finance all the way into any type of industry.
How do you do that with academia? How are you going to be able to bring this education, right? 'Cause I'm seeing it in universities, blockchain a little bit, not Metaverse, not NFTs yet really, you may have seen it, but how do you bring it on that stage? You know, how are you going to be able to disrupt that market where it's not just talking to people, but you're actually going to these institutions, which, you know, there's politics involved, right, and you know politics better than anybody.
Well, yeah, my former life was being a campaign guru, running political campaigns in over 21 different countries. I did co-brand with Microsoft my software, and worked with the public sector there, running over 7,000 different political campaigns, from, you know, school board bomb to presidents. Creating digital war rooms for like the Tahrir Square and in different countries. So it was an amazing experience, but democratization here in the NFT space is interesting, and the vast is there. There's, of course, the collectible aspect, there's the different categories. My focus is on the social media aspect, because that's where I did my PhD specialization. I see gold in that. There's about 7 billion people on social media right now, and they've generated a huge amount of content. But the problem is that ownership of that content and being able to monetize that content, that has not been given. I always found it very funny that we engage for free. We get nothing in return. My wife takes a picture of something, she doesn't even get free dessert from it. And we go to the same restaurant all the time. So I asked myself, is there a way that we can take social media content and mint it into an NFT in a very easy way? And that's what I'm doing as founder of socialpayme.com. That's going to be my contribution to the space. I believe that everyone who has a social media account is sitting on gold. And I believe that we can convert all of those. And I believe that some followers or fans of those accounts will want to basically purchase those NFTs.
And you're not just someone that's saying this. This is what you're doing, right?
That's
so
correct.
So talk about the Donald Trump and tweets. No, but it's funny, but it's a good story, because what we need to do, as you know, is if you're going to explain this to people,
right,
they need to identify on a level that everybody understands. And everybody knows who Donald Trump is, but explain what you do there, and then we'll really get into a little more detail.
Right, sure. So I tell your audience, this took me 5 years to get to where I am right now. I mean, I saw NFTs in 2017. I saw the potential. But when I did my research for my PhD, I actually had to run a hypothesis and an experiment, do something that was significant. So I analyzed 35,647 of Donald Trump's tweets. I analyzed them to see if the tonality of his tone using AI was significant in shifting engagement. And I got very lucky. After running it about 16 times on SPSS, it came out statistically significant, which means that to a 95% accuracy, tone does shift engagement, and his overall voice did make a difference on how we moved engagement in terms of likes, retweets, and replies. Now, if you take that information and you mint those as NFTs, could someone monetize them? Now, I did not know at the time that they were going to delete Donald Trump's tweets.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Right?
So now we're one of the few databases on www.twitterism.com with an ISM.com. And so we are now looking at that data and saying, what did we learn from this, and how can we now apply this to an influencer or a nano or a different type of influencer? And how can we help he or she monetize their content that they're generating? Or if they get a paid post, how can we help them be able to go ahead and collectively share that with their fans and followers?
So you're looking at NFTs, right? When I see, even at the conference, JPEGs, digital art, some of them don't have utility features. When I see NFTs, I feel like people don't understand what you understand, and even what I see, where this is access, this is service, this is ownership. Explain that, where, that seems to me like the next level. How do we get there, right? Because I think where we got right now, a lot had to do very quickly with the metaverse, and ownership had to do with COVID, right, politics, right? In the last 3-4 years, where no matter what side you're on,
right,
this is freedom of speech country. You don't get kicked, like, holy cow, I got kicked off for saying the wrong thing about COVID.
Yeah.
You don't. A lot of people, believe it or not, and you spoke of your wife. you don't know that you don't own the stuff on the internet.
That's
You
right.
don't own it. You think you have a 20 million YouTube following, they shut a button off, you're gone. They
That's
own
right.
it,
You're
right?
done. You know, you're deleted. That's one of the things. I mean, think about it. You lose all your tweets, you lose all your content. But here's, I'm going to even blow your mind even further. What happens when you die? What happens to all your content?
Yeah. You're right.
So
You're right. Yeah.
who gets that? Is there not value in that
Yeah,
content?
Absolutely, yeah.
Your family members don't get it. It's not Facebook. Zuckerberg says, "Oh, by the way, I'm going to gift it to your family." You know, Facebook is a ecosystem, and they can't do that. That's taking into another. So we feel that we can help in that component. Just imagine if you took all your Facebook posts and converted them as NFTs. Now, who owns them?
Exactly.
Now, if there's something there, there's a perpetual royalty that can be earned. And that's what people don't understand, that the NFT is not a JPEG image, it's data. So whatever data you put inside that NFT in that wrapper, so if I take this microphone and I wrap it as an NFT, I can disperse the sale of it. And then if I'm gone, you will still get the royalties.
Fascinating. I know.
I mean, we're talking about a game changer. We could be feeding our great-grandchildren from now.
Yep. Now, how does this filter in? Because we have metaverse companies, and for me, I'm doing the same thing with the metaverse. I feel like you're doing NFTs, where the things that I've seen, this isn't a video game. This is ownership of your own content. There's a reason why the biggest companies, like the gatekeepers of the internet, are the biggest investors in the metaverse right now, which is crazy. What is a metaverse to you, and how does that factor into NFTs and the things that you're doing in the future?
So I think the NFTs we have to look at them for what they are. An NFT is a token. It's a non-fungible token. We spend a lot on the non-fungible. We don't focus enough on a token. When you have a token in the metaverse, it has a variety of value. And that value then has to change into some kind of behavioral result as an asset. It has to have a worth. So when we engage and we purchase an NFT, how do we take that value in the metaverse and actually make it materially create worth for me? So that right there is the challenge of the metaverse, because people, A, have not experienced it yet, B, some of them haven't even visited, and then C, is that when they go inside there, they don't know not necessarily what to do. You and I right now are educating, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people about NFTs and the potential, but we're only 24 months into this. Now, the science has been there for a long time. It's been on the blockchain, et cetera. I remember studying it at MIT in 2017 and saying, oh, this is cool. But what about right now? Who's going to teach people what they need to do with an NFT and how they can utilize it? And that, I think, is the challenge with the metaverse, because it compounds it tenfold. If the NFT is basically the token that's going to be utilized in the metaverse, then how do I go and actually operate in the metaverse? And when you try to explain something that you've never experienced before, it's very difficult.
It's always difficult.
And so I think our point of entry from social pay me standpoint will be identifications, personas. We'll create passports so that if you create a Twitter, Fitter, Sitter, whatever application you have, we'll be able to authenticate them. Because I've always thought it was really ridiculous that in order to get that check mark, I really had to kiss up to the social media platforms. I mean, why can't they just do a KYC and identify me?
Exactly.
There's a reason why, because I can monetize my accounts.
Yes.
And I would hurt their advertising revenues.
Absolutely, yes.
Are you with me?
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%.
So
I know, yeah.
what if Social Pay Me could still allow them to participate, but we verify them? And people are willing to go ahead and say, I'm not a fake person. I'm willing to say who I am because I want to participate in this ecosystem. No one out here in the NFT world is saying, I want to be fake. And that's where the media and everyone else is playing upon this. And I think history will look back at this and everything else and say, wow, what was going on really? And I think there has to be an academic, scientific approach to entering the space, and hoping that my passion for me for the next, as long as God puts me on this planet, is to do the academic research to show and document what people are actually doing.
That's fantastic. And if people want to learn more about you, and by the way, before I even say that, before you pitch, I appreciate it because I think you and I may be two of the last people here that are actually doing business where they're
everyone's-
talking.
yeah,
You
the
hear the
noise
polls in the
in the
background.
background, yeah.
We even came here at the end where the conference is closed so we can get this video. So if you hear the polls, that's why. But if someone wants to learn more about you, how can they do that?
www.ravisingh.com, RAVISINGH.com. But I would really encourage people to sign up on Social Pay Me for the drop that's coming out. But more importantly, Social Pay Me, I think, will be a game changer for everyone. Free economics, so socialpayme.com. So that's
Doctor,
it.
thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you doing this interview
my
this late
pleasure.
with everything going on, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks.
Pretty exciting stuff. I know NFTs are difficult to understand. I know there's a lot of BS in this industry, but I also know that there's billions flowing into NFT platforms and projects. And this money is not coming from like kids and crypto and speculating and stuff like that. It's coming from the biggest and best venture capitalists in the world. These are people who are early investors in almost every big name technology company that you see today. The ones even with $1 trillion valuations. They were some of the first investors in Facebook, Twitter, Coinbase, top crypto projects. These are the guys that invested in Coinbase in 2012 when the valuation was like 50 million. And it came out at whatever, 60, 70, 80 billion. Yes, it has come down, but these guys don't care because they're cheap. They get first look at the best stuff and they tell, most of the time they say no. When they do say yes, it's usually a good investment for these guys. And they're all investing almost across the board. NFTs, Web3, the Metaverse. And this isn't smart money. This is like the super smart money. So we're in the middle of creating tons of educational material and content on NFTs in the Metaverse. It's going to include videos, not just of me, but from the smartest people in the industry who I'm meeting, like Dr. Singh. But tons of people are coming to us. And for me, that's what I want to bring in front of you to show you what we're seeing, where I'm investing, why I'm going all in a market where I know you're seeing a terrible CPI. Holy shit, the market's come down. And it's been a crappy week. We've gone up and we just gave back all those gains. Are we going to hit the lows again? Are we going to, difficult, fine. This is something that you need to prepare for. You need to start investing. There's a reason why the big money is flowing in one of the worst markets in decades, easily in decades. I mean, you don't see, it's not often when you have a global recession, the Fed's still raising rates. They're usually lowering rates, trying to spur economic growth. There's growth is stopped. It's going to get a lot worse in this market where, yes, it's going to be a great time for investments and things like that, and that's fine. There's certain things that are going to work. I'm going to bring those to you. But these are the areas that we're going all in on. These are the people we're partnering with. These are the people that we're talking to. You're going to see a lot of partnerships with Curzio Research with a lot of these great people that have massive, massive followings because they know that, hey, we need a guy from Wall Street that people trust because we have some great projects, and my job is to find those great projects and bring you the good stuff and the good people. Because if you look at crypto, like I said, from the day one I covered it in crypto. I told you, 90% of the stuff I look at is garbage. 10% is absolutely amazing. And at one time, the average gain in our portfolio was, the average was over 600%. Yes, a lot of stuff has gotten crushed. But you could see the returns that you could generate in this industry. Because billions is flowing in. Again, Metaverse, NFTs, Web3 projects. During one of the worst years, you need to start educating yourself on these trends. Whether it's through me, whether it's through somebody else, that's fine. Because this industry, if you're looking at Web3, if you're looking at these things that we're talking about, it's not like cloud, 5G, AI, the trends you hear about, right? These are industries where insiders, big money, has mostly access to get into these trends early. That's what they were doing in AI especially. Most of these companies are being bought out. How many pure AI companies do you know that are publicly traded? I mean, there's companies that have AI capabilities, but they're not pure AI companies. They're private companies that got bought by all the major technology companies right away. You don't have access to them as individual investors. 5G, you really don't. Oh, these companies have come out and they're getting to 5G. I'm talking about early, super, super early. Same thing with cloud. I mean, these guys were invested so early before most people knew what cloud was. Probably a good 5 years before people knew what cloud was. It's different. Most of the big money, Wall Street, they still don't understand NFTs, and they definitely don't understand the Metaverse. I saw that this week. I mean, just look at my Twitter. @Curzio. Want to follow me? Follow me. If not, don't. Again, I'm very controversial, and I like to push buttons on and have fun with it. But man, just the shit that I was seeing on CNBC from just the story that's being told out there. Well, I don't see everyone wearing these big glasses. It's not about glasses. You're not going to wear glasses. You're not going to wear these big headsets. No. That's not what the metaverse is about. And look how clunky the graphics are. The graphics are a million times better. But this is about ownership, and this is about what happened over the past couple of years that changed our culture. And it's going to change our culture forever of what we saw during the political season and during COVID. I mean, ivermectin, right? If you look on a CDC site right now, that's listed as a treatment for COVID. Yet they almost ruined and tried to destroy Joe Rogan's career when he took that and said it worked for him. I was reporting things on COVID and people were drilling me when it had nothing to do with money. It had nothing to do with me. I was just saying, hey, I have kids with you. This is what I'm hearing. I'm fortunate enough to have following you guys listening and people emailing me overseas and telling me what was going on before it even came to the U.S. And then we look at politics. And regardless of what side you like or what, the United States is founded on freedom of speech. I mean, you have to be able to debate, because there's one thing we can both agree on. I wouldn't say the left and the far right would agree on, but most, moderate Democrats and Republicans is we want the best for our children. We can all agree on that. And we want to leave this place when we go in a better place for our children and make the next generation better, right? Isn't that the ultimate goal? So why don't we talk about climate change? Why don't we debate about tough topics and back and forth? We're in a world where you can't debate. You're in a world where you better follow an agenda, especially if you work as an anchor for one of these companies. You better support them. You try being conservative at times, you're fired. You're gone. Goodbye. I mean, remember when the news channels used to have, seriously, on CNBC, on Fox, and CNN, MSNBC is just gone. They're gone. That's like the ultimate, I hate America channel. I want to kill everybody and shoot myself in the face channel. I mean, holy cow. I've never seen so much anger and pissed off people in my life. But even CNN, Fox, and you look at so many of these shows, they used to bring on CNBC, people from both sides. Right? Used to be on conservative and someone who's a liberal or just and have a talking point and have the back and forth. It used to be like that. It used to be like that as little as 3 years ago. Now it's just we're just going to bring on people to just jam our message down your freaking throat. I mean, there's nobody coming on just giving you a different opinion or suggesting something else. I mean, that is not healthy. That's not how, we got to where we are in the most powerful country, greatest country in the world. But we all saw this and how does this factor in? Well, the metaverse, this is what factors into the metaverse. It's the freedom. This is why crypto was created, because there's not trust. This is why Bitcoin was created. There's no trust in the system. We don't trust our politicians. We need another currency. Now you're seeing the blockchain. Now you're seeing NFTs, having records of everything that you have right there. That's your stamp of approval. Nobody can change it. This is the ledger. It doesn't have to be kept at a bank that's going to charge you fees. You get the chance to create whatever you want or say whatever you want or do whatever you want, and you don't have to worry about it. That's what the internet was about. That's the metaverse. It's not this freaking clunky system of people oh my God, they're going to play a big video game and hang out. No, just people are not getting it at all. But you know who's starting to get it? The venture capitalists are definitely getting it. Wall Street's starting. You see Fidelity? Fidelity's now offering crypto and Bitcoin. BlackRock, their Aladdin system, that software that everybody's on, money managed services, it's $21 trillion in assets, $22 trillion in assets under management. They just partnered with Coinbase to give them access to crypto. It's coming, but for individual investors, you have the chance to get in very, very early here. And I'm not telling you to sell everything and go in it, but 5% of your capital needs to be dedicated to the space. Just 5%. Just like 5% was to uranium, 5% to gold, and 5%, I mean, you look at gold wasn't too good, but 5% to whatever. Maybe it's 10% technology and large cap, and that, just surged and provided you amazing returns for 10 years while gold did shit. Now uranium's doing well. You want to be diversified in certain areas and speculate in certain areas. This is an area where that 5%, if you get this right, could be worth 5x the size of the rest of your 95% of your portfolio. where people are speculating in small caps that are already publicly traded companies that come out, some of them at billion-dollar valuations, where a lot of the growth already took place. That's the market we live in with SPACs and all this bullshit, the road shows and crazy valuations that came out of it. In crypto, you could invest in the ground floor of a lot of these companies, and this is what we want to present to you. We're going to continue to bring guys like Dr. Singh, just great names in crypto, people that invested in Bored Apes. When you look at their blog posts, and one guy that I was talking to was in his blog post, he's like telling them to buy Bored Apes NFTs when they were like a few $100, $1,000. He's like, you need to buy this stuff at $800. You need to get a hold of some of these. I mean, some of them going for millions now. These are guys that are early investors in this stuff and laughing as other people are getting in so late into these bullshit trends. But these are the people I want to bring in front of you. This is the stuff I want to educate you on. And is there a learning curve? Yes. As you get older, do you want to learn more? No, you hate learning new shit, right? You just settle in your ways. You want to sit in your chair and watch TV programs and whatever. Try to get out of that. Because this is an area that's very exciting right now. We've done the research. We've been in it. We're spending money. I'm fully invested in this thing. I'm not just talking shit here, but this is an area that's very, very exciting. Again, even if you don't want to look at the stuff that we're creating, educate yourself on this sector. You could find some stuff out there. Be careful of the sites that you look at. But a lot of people want to work with us. We're going to bring a lot of these big names to you in lots of interviews, lots of educational content, and open up those questions and start doing live chats. This way everyone could participate. You could ask lots of questions. We could bring on, really cool people. If everyone's an idiot or a troll, we can kick them off immediately. Again, just things that we want to do to help the community. Because once those communities are built, just like the podcast that we have, and Wall Street Unplugged, you have those groups and those communities are extremely, extremely powerful. That's what we're looking to build here. And right now it is. It's starting to get very powerful with the contacts that we have, the interviews we have, the people that we're working with. It's getting a lot of fun. I'm going to continue to bring interviews like this to you. Let me know what you think. Again, I say this all the time. This podcast is about you, not about me. So let me know what you thought of that interview and everything I just said at frankcurzioresearch.com. That's frank at curzioresearch.com. We really appreciate all support. And for those of you who are freebies, I'll see you next week. For those of you who subscribe to one of our services and pay for some of our research, I'll see you tomorrow. Frankly speaking, special podcast only goes out to you. So send in your questions. As always, love answering them. For those people, I'll see you tomorrow. Everyone else, have a great weekend. Enjoy football. I'll see you next week. Take care.